Truth.
What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining us at Candid Truth. We're going to talk about the truth, and we're going to get candid with it. I just saw this today, this new Google DeepMind technology. This is something that I've been seeing for a couple of years now, ever since AI came out, to where you could just tell AI what you want to see. Like, you become God, right? You type it, and it happens. You say, I want a picture of this, and boom, it creates. Imagine a world where you put on VR goggles. It's nothing but black. You speak and things come into existence. You say, I had a long day at work. I want to be on the beach. You're at the beach. I want it to be sunset. I want there to be a hot chick. Everything. I want a pina colada, whatever. Anything you say happens, right? What was the first deception in the Garden of Eden? What was the first lie Satan told? If you eat this fruit, what? You will become as God. The whole deception, Satan's whole deception from the Garden of Eden to the New Age movement is that you are God, that you are God within, that you can reach Christ consciousness, that you can reach a higher level of evolution, a higher plane of existence, that you can become like God. And that was what Satan said. He said, I will be like the Most High, right? He said, I will ascend into the heights of the clouds. He wants to be God, and he wants you to think that you can be God. So check this out. This is this new technology called Google DeepMind. And this is what I've been predicting. I've been saying that Satan is going to create this AI stuff. And look, there's nothing, none of it's just like innately bad. Instruments are not bad. They can be used to play good music or bad music. TV, not bad. You can watch sermons. You can watch good, wholesome things, or you can watch the filth that's out there. Stuff like this, broadcasting, cell phones. The technology isn't bad. This technology is going to help the gospel reach the ends of the earth. But there's a spiritual war going on. Satan is trying to capture your minds. There is a war for your soul, for your mind, everything. And so Satan is the God of this world. He has control over the majority of what gets pumped out through that sewage pipe that we call the mainstream media. And he has control over, even like our channel. We get, shadow banned, and the algorithm isn't doing what it's supposed to do. And so it takes a lot of effort to try and get stuff out there, try to get the truth out there. And so Satan is going to create a counterfeit heaven. That's what he does. He counterfeits everything of God, right? He's not original. Everything he does is a twisted perversion of God. And so he's going to create a counterfeit paradise, a counterfeit heaven where you can do whatever you want. And that's what all these movies are saying, right? All dogs go to heaven. When he gets to heaven, the girl dog says, welcome to doing whatever you wish. And every Disney movie says, you can be in a world where you can break the rules and follow your heart. Aladdin said, I can show you the world. I can open your eyes. No one to tell us no or where to go. Everything, all the movies, all the propaganda is about taking you to a world with no rules. The Lost Boys, right? You can go to Never Neverland and all this stuff. Satan has been setting up his counterfeit paradise where there are no rules and you can do anything in this virtual world. And now you don't even have to depend on a programmer to program your game or whatever. You speak it into existence. Check this out, man. This is mind-blowing. We knew it would get to this point.
This building across the square looks quite new. What is that?
That is the Google London office in Pancras Square.
This week on 60 Minutes, we reported on DeepMind, Google's artificial intelligence research lab, where we explored what's coming next with co-founder and CEO Demis Hassabis, a leader in this new world.
Hello, Scott. It's nice to see you again.
DeepMind's AI
in this new world. I think that's interesting terminology he used. I just want to say, when I'm saying this isn't bad, I use AI. I use AI to make graphics for thumbnails and presentations, and I use it for research. It's a great research tool. You can actually ask AI, use nothing but the Bible alone. What does the Bible say about this topic? Boom, you get all the verses. You can say, did this occultist ever say anything about this topic? And then you can compare. You can say, hey, can you give me a list of movies that make God look like a villain? You're going to get it. It's an amazing tool. But ultimately, technology does land in the hands of evil. Ultimately, computers, robots, all this stuff, it is going to get used by evil. That's why when Fukushima happened, all that radiation was going out into the water and it was pumping out. And they started talking to China and said, will you make humanoid robots for us that can climb ladders, break down walls, jump over holes, and turn valves off so that nuclear waste will stop pumping into the ocean? And they said, no, we don't want to make a robot that you can weaponize against us. They were smart enough to know that if we make this technology, you will weaponize it. So that's what I'm saying is the technology is not bad. It's the fact that we have evil in us. If there was no evil in the world, if we lived in a perfect world with perfect people, technology would never be used for evil, and therefore it could be used for great things.
My assistant, Astra, can see, hear, and analyze the world around it. It can recognize famous paintings like this one.
That is Edward Hopper's automat.
And guess what its subject might be feeling. What emotion is she exhibiting?
The subject in the painting appears pensive and contemplative.
But with a little push, it can do even more. Can you create a story around this picture?
It's a chilly evening in the city. A Tuesday, perhaps. The woman, perhaps named Eleanor, sits alone in the diner, enjoying a warm cup of coffee.
Have you found yourself saying, I didn't see that coming?
It's happened many times, actually, since the beginning of DeepMind. And Astra, just being able to be that good at understanding the physical world was not something we were expecting it to be that good at that quickly.
While reporting this story, we learn more about the strides DeepMind has made with AI that can produce images, videos, and even three-dimensional worlds. 2 years ago, we were shown a technology that could create videos with simple text prompts like...
Okay, so if you guys are familiar with AI at all, like this is stuff a lot of us use every day. You can tell, and dude, it's getting crazy out there to where you can't even, well, some people can't even tell what's AI anymore. Now, there are some things that look tricky, but there's like videos out there that are going viral on YouTube and Facebook, and people are like, whoa, this is crazy. And it's like, no, this is AI. And there's these wars going on, like it's real, it's AI, and no, and people can't tell anymore. You can take any picture, you can run it through a free software and get a couple seconds of animation, and it can look pretty real. Now, this is, I'm not sure, they're using Google Finaki. I've never even heard of that. Text to video. So they typed a text that says golden retriever puppy with wings walks through a field filled with wildflowers. I'm going to skip through some of this because this is kind of old news to us. This video just dropped 2 days ago on 60 Minutes, but look how realistic this squirrel is.
Just a way clearer, more detailed image.
And the snowflakes sort of falling on him and collecting as well.
Falling.
Director of Product Management, Tom...
He said the snowflakes are falling and collecting. So it's not like they're just... It's an animation overlay. It's literally falling in place in the atmosphere, in the environment.
Hume showed us this model called VO2.
Exactly. Yeah.
It
System will generate it for you, and then you can sort of immerse yourself in that imagined environment.
Okay, this is where it gets crazy.
You can just imagine any environment, the system will generate it for you, and then you can sort of immerse yourself in that imagined environment.
Hassabis and DeepMind research scientist Jack Parker Holder wanted to show us Genie 2, a world model that uses images to create interactive 3D environments.
Okay, it creates. I think it's interesting that they call it DeepMind. This thing is going deep into your mind. The brain, the mind is such a powerful thing. This is what we want to keep pure and holy, and we want to think on these things, right? Think on what's pure and just and holy and true and all those things, because this is how we communicate with God. And Satan wants to do everything in his power to distort this thing. He wants you to be on drugs. He wants you to be on addictive games. He wants you to be putting music in your mind that's giving you an evil message with a poppy beat, right? He's trying to distort your mind. That's why Revelation says that the world was deceived by sorcery, that word sorcery being pharmakia, or anything that medicates the mind. It doesn't just mean drugs or pharmaceuticals. It means anything that medicates the mind. Alcohol, they call it spirits for a reason. It distorts your mind and invites spirits into your life. And so this thing is called DeepMind. This is getting into your mind, deep in your mind. That's what Satan wants to do. This technology, you can take a photograph like this, run it through this program, and it will not only animate it, but make it a three-dimensional world that you can walk in. Check it out.
This is a photograph taken by someone in our team somewhere in California. And what we then do is ask Genie to convert this into an interactive world. So we prompt the model with this image, and Genie converts it into a game-like world that you can then interact in. Every further pixel is generated by a generative AI model.
So the AI is making up this scene as it goes along.
Exactly, yes. Someone from our team is actually playing this. They're pressing the W key to move forwards.
So this is insane because the game doesn't exist. This game basically was maybe somebody typed in, make a game of a paper airplane that's flying over the Grand Canyon. Now, just because somebody typed that from their imagination, now they can actually press on the keys, control the paper airplane, and it's flying over Grand Canyon, but AI is creating every frame, meaning the viewer has no idea what's coming up next. The world is being created. It's not a game that a bunch of programmers got together and said, hey, let's make a game like this. And, oh yeah, this creature will be behind that door. And there's a secret back here. No one knows. Nobody knows what is going to be happening on this game. It's all a surprise. It's all a mystery because AI, artificial intelligence, is creating it real time as you're navigating around. This is mind blowing. There was a point I wanted to make about this. I'm just going to let it roll.
And then from that point onwards, every subsequent frame is generated by the AI.
Parker Holder told us these models could eventually train AI agents to accomplish tasks in these environments.
The point I wanted to make was when I was growing up in the 90s, when Nintendo came out, Super Nintendo, that was a different time. You would rent a game from a store for $5 or whatever. You'd have it for 2 days and you'd play the game. And if you didn't beat it, maybe you'd rent it again. And in a couple days, 4 or 5 days, a week tops, you beat the game and it's like a trophy. Like, I beat the game, and you probably don't even play it again. There were very few games that even had replay value unless they were co-op 2-player games like a fighter game or something. And in that situation, you couldn't play online. It was 2 people and you were sitting side by side. Each of you had controllers and you're there in each other's physical space. It's still a social activity, just like playing cards or just like playing basketball or anything else. It's just a digital social game. But now, and the game would end. Eventually the game ended. Now, guess what? The games never end. They're endless worlds, endless expansion packs, upgrades. Oh, you're going to level up and level up and level up. And hey, you got a new weapon. You got a new costume. There's a new level. Hey, you're in a world with 1,000 people that you don't know. You're never going to meet in person. And you might talk to them over a microphone. But now you can't even trust, is that really their voice or anything? Maybe eventually we're not even going to know if the people we're playing with online are real people or is it AI? Because AI is so advanced already that you can talk to it and it'll respond to you just like a real person, and you can't even tell the difference. It takes breaths. It says, it's doing everything that humans do. So even right now, if you're not physically in a room with somebody, you have no idea if that person is AI or not that you're playing with. And so now here's, not only do we have the internet and games that never end and upgrades, and it's just, they're created purposely to be addictive. Video game companies are being sued right now. I keep seeing ads all the time they're wanting to sue these video game companies because they're purposefully making them addictive And nothing should be legal to be addictive like that, even though we do have alcohol for sale and cigarettes and all kinds of things. Addictive substances is not fair. And, they used to put cocaine in Coca-Cola, but eventually they had to take it out, but they just replaced it with caffeine, another addictive drug. The point is, the game never ends. And you never figure it out because the game is building real time right in front of you, and it's going to be different every time. It's never going to be the same game twice.
We've created this world with 3 different arches, where on the left we see some nice plants. In the middle, it's an opening which we don't quite know what's in there. And on the right, there's a staircase. And rather than a human playing, we take one of our most capable AI agents and we say, can you actually go up the staircase for us? And as it's climbing the stairs, the Genie world model is creating the world around.
So now it isn't even a person playing. Earlier, it was showing that a person was in control. Now they said they're talking to the program, Genie 2 or something, and they're saying, hey, will you go up the stairs for me? So now AI is exploring itself. It's almost like, he's going to explain it. It's basically like you got an AI player and an AI creator, and neither one of them know what the other's going to do. The creator doesn't know what movements the player is going to do, and vice versa. Check it out.
It on the fly and sort of imagining what's up there.
Effectively, you've got one AI system playing in the mind of another AI system. So you've got one generating the world and the other one is moving around and accomplishing goals in that world.
And the practical implication of that would be what?
So, of course, there's lots of implications for entertainment and generating games and videos, but actually the bigger goal is building a world model, a model that can understand our world. You could imagine future versions creating almost an infinite variety of different simulated environments, which
they want to create an entire world, our world. You could use Google Maps and tell AI to analyze the whole thing. It would only take a couple seconds, maybe minutes. And now you have a virtual world of our world. And you could go in there and it could be totally different. It could be like your city is a real city, but there's people in there that don't exist, mythical creatures, whatever. Like, this is crazy. So what is going to happen when people are so addicted to these games or these chat rooms or whatever you want to call it, and they enter into this world where they are God? You enter into the world and you speak a world into existence. I want to be in the world of Avatar. All of a sudden you're in there and you meet a girl, but she's not somebody else. She's not a player. This is AI. And you start building a friendship with that AI companion, which they have AI companions now on Skype and stuff, Zoom. They're like, oh, you want it? I've never used it. I just see the button and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Like, we're so lonely in this culture now that we want an AI companion. Like I said, it's a great tool to say, what does this book say? And it saves a lot of time trying to flip through. I don't want to read a bunch of new age garbage. I don't want to read a bunch of occult books, but I can say, hey, does this occult book say anything about the year 2025 in it? Boom. That's what I need. Now that saves me a lot of time and trouble and reading stuff I don't even want to be reading. But imagine if you're in this world, you never want to come out because this world is so much better. You can be whoever you want to be in this world. You're not the geeky loser, out of shape, whatever. You can be whoever you want to be. And you can have an amazing spouse. You can have the most beautiful woman in the world. You can have even a woman that's half alien or something, like an avatar, right? This is going to be crazy, man.
The AIs can learn from and interact in, and then translate that to the real world.
So if you had a full-sized robot, for example, you wouldn't train him on how to navigate the world out in the street in front of the building.
No.
You would put him in this scenario so that he could figure out how to climb stairs.
That's right. It's much harder to collect data in the real world, much more expensive, much slower. For example, robotics data. But in simulator worlds, you can sort of collect almost an unlimited amount.
We wondered if Google could use the trove of geographic data that's at its fingertips to advance this technology.
Google has access to almost infinite data. You've got Google Maps, you've got Street View, you've got Google Earth. Could all of those data be collected together in order to train AI agents?
That's what we're exploring at the moment, actually, is both ways. So potentially using street view kind of data to give real world understanding and geographical understanding to our AI systems. And then on the other hand, you can imagine things like this, bringing to life static images of real places, whether it's your own holiday photos or actually street view views, which are static currently, and actually making them interactive and 3D so you can look around the place itself.
Wow. Okay. So the thing is he's saying you can take a photograph, make it a 3D world, and you can travel around in there, except it's not going to be the real picture that you took. It's going to create some fabricated universe from that picture. This is just mind blowing, guys. I knew this is where it was going, but now that it's here, I'm just like, wow, this is really crazy. So what is Google DeepMind? It says Google DeepMind is Google's AI research lab dedicated to building AI that benefits humanity. Benefits humanity. I want to know in what way. Because like I said, some of these tools, they're great for research and stuff like that. I don't exactly know how this benefits humanity. They're talking about training robots in a digital world before they put them into a real world. I don't even know if that benefits humanity. What does it benefit humanity to have humanoid robots walking around right now? Besides, if you are disabled, they're talking about like there's going to be one, I don't want to exaggerate, but at least like one robot per person in the world. That's not just like, oh, this is a really cool device to help people who are paralyzed. You would have a lot less robots. So how does that benefit humanity? So the mission says DeepMind's goal is to build AI systems that benefit humanity, focusing on making AI more accessible, responsible, and beneficial to diverse communities. How are you going to stop it? This is an open source. Open AI means that you can make it do anything. Right now, these programs we use like ChatGPT, they got like guardrails on there. But if you are a programmer, you know what you're doing, you can get rid of all that. And there's no limits on AI. And you can upgrade it and everything. Responsibility and safety. DeepMind is committed to building AI responsibly or with a dedicated team focused on ensuring safety and ethical considerations in their AI development according to the Responsibility of Safety Council. I find that really hard to believe that this is going to be, that they're going to be considering all the responsible things. What is morality to these people? Where's the moral guideline to people that are not Christian or don't have the Bible as their rule of thumb? If you remember, there was a movie called Ready Player One. That's what this movie was about. It was literally the year 2045. It's only 20 years from now. The planet is on the brink of chaos and collapse. Ring a bell? I think we're there. But people find salvation, interesting word there. People find salvation in the Oasis, an expansive virtual reality universe created by eccentric James Halliday. When Halliday dies, he promises his immense fortune, blah, blah, blah. Basically, if you've seen the movie, the world is in such a situation that nobody wants to live in the world anymore. Nobody lives in the real world. Everybody lives in these trailers that are stacked on top of each other, and they all just sit in their homes with VR on, and they can be whatever they want to be. The scrawny guy can be the big built guy. The fat dude can be the hot chick. You can be whatever you want to be. You don't even have to be human. And why would you want to live in this world full of rules and boundaries when you can live in a world where anything is possible, especially when we've been propagated that our entire lives, that we should want to live in Never Never Land, a world with no rules. So I asked, are youth having less physical relationships? And AI, yes, some people want to discredit AI like it's Wikipedia. AI is actually analyzing all the websites and getting the most concise answer. And it says, yes, statistical data indicates a decline in physical relationships among youth. The young people are having less physical relationships. This trend includes reduced sexual activity, fewer sexual partners, and less emphasis on romantic relationships in media consumption. Several factors likely contribute to this shift, including changing societal values, a focus on education and careers, and the influence of technology. I think that plays a huge role. So they're acting like, oh, you know, people are just more, kids today they're more focused on their education and careers. I don't see that. I mean, dude, I see bosses having a really hard time getting employees to show up to work. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to go to school. But technology has taken over. Decreased sexual activity. Surveys and studies show a decrease in the percentage of young adults reporting having sex, both in terms of frequency and number of partners compared to previous generations. Influence of technology. The rise of online dating and virtual relationships may impact the formation of physical in-person connections. So it's saying virtual relationships are replacing physical relationships. And then it says here, media preference. Young adults are showing a preference for less emphasis on sex and romance in television and movies, indicating a shift in their entertainment choices. So now they don't even want to see relationships on TV because they don't connect with that. They don't, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't connect with that. They don't identify with that. So it's not entertaining to them. So here it says, I asked, statistics show increase in P word. Yes, statistics indicate an increase in the P word consumption, particularly online. Over the past few decades, this trend is driven by increased internet accessibility and the shift to mobile viewing. Additionally, the COVID-19 pandemic and related lockdowns and social distancing measures seem to have further fueled this increase, as one study reported an 11% increase in this website viewing in a single month. In 1 month. Okay, so if you guys are like me and you know about this pandemic, then you understand that there is an agenda behind it. I do believe that Satan wants to depopulate the world because a lower population is easier to control. And so how do you depopulate? Well, you make the LGBTQ lifestyle trendy. You make transgenderism trendy. You cause this pandemic that puts all these restrictions and causes an 11% increase in the P word. Now there's a huge decrease in physical relationships because people are preferring virtual relationships to a physical relationship. Now, it said there's a decrease in physical relationships, but there's an increase in the P word. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's a trend that's not going to stop when you have AI and you can tell AI anything you want. There's no limits. Whatever you say, AI will generate it. And you can tweak it like, wait a minute, that feature isn't perfect. Do this to it. Make it bigger. Make it whatever, right? This is crazy. So that's just a simple statistic right there, that the P word has increased. Now, what does the Bible say in 2 Peter 3:3? It says, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts. So we know in the last days, lust is going to be running rampant. It says, I'm going to read the whole thing here. It says, this second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance, that ye may be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets, and of the commandments of us, the apostles of the Lord our Savior. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers. Do we see scoffers? So many people like, where is the sign of his coming, right? Walking after their own lusts and saying, where is the promise of his coming, right? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things have continued as they were from the beginning of creation. For this they willingly are ignorant. I talked about that on a video yesterday, that we are living in the last days in the age of technology. We have no excuse for ignorance. We all have the world library at our fingertips, when at one time one book costed a fortune. One book. Now we can look up anything. Every person has one of these. Even third world countries, people have a cell phone. They got dirt floors, living in a shack, but they got cell phones with internet. So if we are ignorant in these last days, if Christ returns and will say, I didn't know, you were willfully ignorant. You have to have a desire for truth. You have to search truth like gold. And now it's not even that hard. Yes, there's a lot of disinformation, misinformation, and all that stuff and censoring. But if you truly desire to know the truth, you can find it. Now easier than ever in history. That's the truth. And so here we see that in the last days, there's people going to be walking after the lust of their flesh. They're going to be scoffing at the idea that Christ is coming. Are you kidding me? So they have no conscience about what they're doing. Why do they have to have a conscience? They're not going to be held accountable for whatever they do, right? They can do whatever they want with no accountability because they are scoffing at the idea that Christ is coming. Are you kidding? So there's something called MAPS. I don't know if you know what that is. But it says MAPS is defined in this literature in various and sometimes contradictory ways, including as a category of any person with sexual feelings toward children. MAPS is minor attracted persons. So I bring this up because sometimes you have to use extremes to get through to people. And the truth is, this isn't an extreme. This has already been being talked about for a couple years now. I did a show on Little Light Studios called Gender Babylon like 5 years ago that was talking about how they were trying to normalize MAPS, that they were showing up at the pride parades and mingling in. And, you know, when you start saying, well, you can be any gender you want, you can identify as anything you want, then it's only a matter of time before you say, guess what? Maybe I'm a 41-year-old, but I identify as a 12-year-old. And so I want a 12-year-old girlfriend. And who's going to stop you? Because now there's hate speech and all these things and homophobe and transphobe and all these terms that try to shut you down for speaking logical, rational truth that no grown up should be with a child, or that no male should be able to enter into a female restroom, right? This is just logical, rational fact. And facts don't care about your feelings. So when you have a world with no rules and you can do whatever you want, who wants to live in the real world? Nobody's going to want to live in the real world. Already, people barely want to get out of their homes. They come home from work and they scroll on Facebook and they click likes and they look at what other people are doing, but they don't even get out most of the time. This is just to show you how real this is. This is the times. I don't even want to say the words that are on screen, but you see it here, that these dolls were on sale on eBay. This was back in 2017. And what they said it did was, it was to, let me see if I can find it. It said it was basically to medicate MAPS, to medicate those who are minor attracted persons so that they don't actually have to act out in the real world. They have an outlet now that doesn't hurt anyone. But I don't believe that's what's going to happen. I don't believe that you can give someone who really wants drugs a little taste of a drug and then say, okay, now that should hold you over, right? Now you don't want to do drugs, right? This is like when people are trying to come off meth and they get on methadone, right? Methadone clinics. I'm not saying it doesn't ever work. Hopefully it does, but you're basically giving a meth head meth, a smaller amount. And eventually they're just going to say, look, this isn't enough. I want the real thing. Give me the real thing. This is insane. So just to prove it, Snopes, they love to debunk conspiracy theories. If it's false, they're going to find out. And even if it's not false, sometimes they're going to say it's false. But right here it says, were these dolls briefly offered on Amazon? Fact check. Yes, true. it was true in March of 2019. And it says on here, where does it say it? I'm trying to see where it says it. Okay, maybe it's not on here. Somewhere it does say that this was for maps, for people, minor attracted persons. Oh, I wish I could find it. Oh, well. Oh, there it is. So that they were clearly meant to target this P word here. Look, here it is again. BBC covered this in 2018. These dolls. And it said that they were removed, but then they came back up in days because of a loophole somehow. And I wish I could find where they actually say that that's what this was for. That it was to keep predators from actually acting out. Man, what a deception. Oh my goodness. This is... So what I'm getting at is we're already dealing with this problem, and now you're going to create a bigger problem, because now you're saying, look, if you just put on your VR goggles, you can do anything and you're not going to hurt anybody. You can go in this VR world and you can take out that aggression on a virtual reality, right? You're angry at your wife. Go punch something. Go punch her in a VR world. You're angry at your boss. You can do whatever you want to him in the VR world and you won't be hurting anyone. It's just you in the VR world, and nobody can even see it because you're in your... Already, it said that the P word has went up so much because we went to mobile phones. Because remember, back in the day, you had to get VHS tape. You had to go into a store, buy a VHS tape or a magazine or something. Then it turned into computers, but they were so expensive that you had one in the main room, right? So nobody's going to be looking at stuff. Now everybody has one in their pocket and they're just walking around free reign to do whatever they want. Even children have it. So people often ask, at what age do you think children should have a cell phone? And the answer is whenever you want them to be exposed to the P word, because it's only a matter of time before it happens. Whether they're curious or not, it sometimes just pops up. They used to say, there was a time when it said, don't let your children search Spider-Man because they're going to see the P word, Spider-Man. And I know why, because they get these perverted terms and they start trending, and now all of a sudden things that were seemingly innocent are popping up with explicit things. And so now your child, it's only a matter of time. Even me on Facebook, I can be on Facebook Marketplace looking for a ladder, and there's a sponsored ad that is explicit nudity, and I have to report that thing. I had trouble. Well, they refused me of promoting or boosting a video about Trump with the golden statue Gaza thing. They denied it because it was political. But yet somehow blatant nudity numerous times slips through the crack and becomes a sponsored ad on the marketplace. So that's what I mean. It's only a matter of time before this gets into the hands of wickedness. And so look at this article, because when we start putting AI VR goggles on, this is what happens to our brain. Our brain doesn't tell the difference between simulation and reality. It says the efficiency of simulation and training courses for all kinds of users and subjects is due to two main factors. The brain learns more efficiently when it replicates what it learns and sees. And if the simulation is realistic, it sees it as the reality. Well, AI is only getting more and more real every moment of every day. Whether it is a flight simulation or a conversation to improve your leadership performance. So I guess this is the type of things that they say we're trying to benefit humanity. Yes, if you can teach pilots to fly, if you can teach, if you can use it to practice being a public speaker, you have a fake audience and you're just out there delivering. Yeah, that could actually be beneficial. Or maybe you're trying out for track or something. I don't know. But the thing is we have something in our minds called mirror neurons. And mirror neurons, it's your brain firing off everything you do with physically, whether you're moving your hand or making a face, your brain fires a certain way. But even when you see it, your brain fires off as if you're doing it. They've done studies like this. It says this is why you yawn when you see someone yawning. For example, what works for basic actions such as smiling and crying also works for athletic performance and complex learning. So oftentimes, if you see somebody cry, you'll want to cry. Mirror neurons. If you see somebody yawn, you want to yawn. If you see somebody smiling, you can't help but smile, right? You see somebody smile, makes you smile. Mirror neurons. So this is just scientific fact. They've been studying this for a while. This was discovered in 1992. And they did a study where they put a guy in an MRI and they said, or a CT scan, whatever it was. And they told him, we're going to show you some pictures of people making faces. When you see the face, make the same face. And they studied his brain. They said, okay, your brain's firing off this way. They analyzed the patterns that his brain was making when it's firing off. They put him back in the machine, showed him the same pictures and said, don't move a muscle. And his brain fired off the exact same way, as if he was making the face. They accidentally stumbled on this when they had monkeys in cages and they were giving them peanuts and seeing how their brain would react. Well, one day a scientist came in and he picked up the peanut in front of the monkey, and the monkey's brain started firing off like he was eating the peanut or as if he had grabbed the peanut. And the scientist was like, whoa, wait a minute. That monkey's brain fired off as if he grabbed the peanut when I grabbed the peanut. And that's how they found out about these mirror neurons. So mirror neurons are brain cells that fire both when an individual performs an action and when they observe another individual performing the same action. This activity is believed to be fundamental to social condition, imitation learning, and empathy. Empathy. You cry because somebody else cries. Social learning. This is what children are doing. Children's minds are like a sponge, and they're looking and they're seeing like, oh, when I do this, they get angry, or when I do this, they're sad, and they're learning what those things mean by looking at it. Studies have explored mirror neurons in various contexts, including animal behavior, human cognition, and even their potential role in certain mental disorders. So that's that. Now I want to show you, why am I even talking about this? Why am I talking about mirror neurons? Because when you're in a virtual world, people think, hey, if I do it in the virtual world, it's not me doing it. It's fake. That's the argument people have when we try to tell them, look, you shouldn't be watching wicked movies that glamorize witchcraft. You shouldn't be watching movies that have adultery or violence in it. And people are like, what is the big deal, man? It's just a movie. It's not going to change me. I know the difference in reality and in fiction and fantasy. I never said you didn't. But the thing is your brain is looking at that and your brain is firing off as if you're doing it. To give a very explicit example, think about when people watch the P word. Is there any physical reaction happening? Yeah. People watch it and suddenly things start to happen, right? So it's not just fantasy. It's not like, oh, it doesn't affect me. It's just a movie, bro. It's fiction. No, it's not fiction. What happens on that screen are real people, real daughters, real mothers. And that's exploitation. And one day they're going to regret what they're doing. And you're funding that. You're supporting that. And that's why I think it's so crazy that we just saw that the P word has actually gone up, because people act like we're getting more humanitarian. We're getting more woke and we're protecting people. No, man, girls are on OnlyFans now and they got sex. They're making sex work a normal job. I read that 1 in 10 girls are on OnlyFans. It's becoming so normalized now that it's just another job. Like, oh, where do you work? Oh, I'm on OnlyFans. Oh, cool. I thought about doing that, but this is insane. This is the world we're living in. Now, when you're in this VR virtual AI world and you can do whatever you want, do you not think that people's curiosity is going to be like, well, nobody's looking. I wonder what it would be like to see this insane thing. I'm going to be real. When I was a teenager, I used to go to this website called rotten.com and styleproject.com and watch movies called Faces of Death. I was so curious and honestly sadistic and whatever. I went down a wrong path. And my curiosity and the internet and all, I could find anything I want. I wanted to see, what was it like to see somebody go through that? And it's like, you can't even say these words on YouTube right now. But if you're familiar, if you're my age, you know what Faces of Death is. So what about when you're in this world? Does it affect you? Is it bad? Is it wrong to observe something that is wrong? Like, okay, I'm not doing witchcraft. I'm just watching it. I like Harry Potter. Okay, I would never kill anybody, but I just watched Deadpool where he killed, 300 people. I'm a Christian. What's the big deal? Deadpool, he's my favorite character. And that's not a stretch. I've seen literally Christians wear Deadpool shirts. We've lost all our discernment. Psalm 101:3 says, I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. This is the psalmist. David says, I won't set anything wicked before my eyes. And that was before there was TV. That was before there was the internet. He's saying, look, if it's wicked, I'm not even going to set it before my eyes. I'm not even going to look at that thing. Matthew 5:28 says, but I say unto you, because Jesus said, you've heard it said that to do this. Well, let me look at the context here. He said, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time that thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. So Jesus is saying, look, you don't even have to do the act. You are probably not doing the act because you know you'll get caught. But if you're just looking and fantasizing and lusting in your heart, you've already committed adultery because sin starts in the heart. That's not saying, well, if you went ahead and fantasized, you might as well go do it. But it's saying that we need to take every thought of our imagination captive into the power of Christ. Everything. Like you can't just say, well, I don't do anything externally, but in my mind, I think about it. I dwell on it. He says to look after a woman is the same. To look after a woman and lust after her is the same as committing adultery. So you can't say that fiction or it's fantasy, it's not real, it doesn't affect me. It's committing adultery. Romans 1:32. This is a really clear passage because it says, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death. What kind of things are worthy of death? Sin. The wages of sin is death. Witches were to be stoned to death. Witchcraft is going to get death. It says those who will not inherit the kingdom are liars, fornicators, effeminate, homosexuals, murderers. And it says, so if you do those things, you're worthy of death. That which commit such things are worthy of death. But then it continues, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. So now it's saying, look, you might say, I would never kill anybody, but are you taking pleasure in watching a violent movie? Are you taking pleasure in a violent video game where you're literally walking around murdering people? This is a virtual simulator. Remember, they teach people to fly airplanes, to drive cars using simulators, and then people will spend hours. I mean, I'm telling you, especially if people get paid to play games, hours upon hours of their life in a virtual murder simulator. And they think it's just fantasy. I'd never kill anybody. What does the word say? To look after a woman, to lust after her is the same as committing adultery in your heart. To look at a brother, to hate a brother is the same as murder. And yet you're virtually taking pleasure, blowing people away. It says, not only them that do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. If you're watching a movie where somebody is murdering somebody and you take pleasure in that, you're guilty of murder. If you're watching someone where somebody's committing adultery and you're getting pleasure out of that, you're guilty. You're worthy of death. This is strong warning. We need to be walking the straight and narrow. We need to pick up our cross daily and die to the lust of the flesh. We need to we need to be separate from this world. This world has made everything so acceptable and cultural, pop culture and trendy, that it's okay. Look, even 50 years ago, if you would time travel someone from 50 years ago or the 1920s and drop them in our world today and say, hey, let me show you a video game, they would probably have a heart attack. Or say, hey, let me show you this movie. It's called Deadpool. It's really cool. They actually have toys of it in the kids aisle at Walmart. It's mind-blowing where we've come, how desensitized we've become. And it's the frog in the kettle. It's the frog in the boiling pot. And they're turning up the heat. Satan's turning up the heat a little each generation, pushing the boundaries every time. The older people are like, no, they shouldn't be doing that. And the kids are like, you don't get it, Mom. And then the next generation, same thing. I was the one saying, you don't get it, parents. Mom and Dad, you don't get it. Like, this is the new thing. And now I'm cringing at what's happening in our world. Each generation does the same thing. It gets worse and worse. Matthew 4:9 says, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Satan was offering something to Jesus. He said, if you bow to me, I'll give you everything. I'll make you a god on this earth. And millions of people have taken that same offer today. There are tons of celebrities. There are tons of rich elitists who are living like gods on earth. They got more money than they can spend in their entire life. They can go anywhere they want. And nobody's going to charge Justin Bieber for his plate. No, it's on the house. Right? They're getting everything for free. They can have any man or woman that they want. They got more money than they can ever spend. But what profits a man to gain the whole world and lose his very soul? Right? Satan can offer you all the kingdoms of the world. You can be a god on this earth, but guess what? Your time is ticking, and one day you're going to have to face judgment. And there's no greater gift than eternal life in a perfect world. No more pain, no more sorrow, no more wickedness. I long for that. This is not my home. I long for that perfect world. I'm sick of the things of this world. I've had a taste of all of it. Don't act like I've never been there. I've had it all. And all of it is vanity, vanity. I don't want it anymore. I'm disgusted by it. When I see people drink a beer, I'm disgusted. When I see people spark up a joint and I used to love it, I want to throw up. I hate it. It's destroying lives. It's taking souls to hell. I don't want it anymore. Satan can give you all the things of this world, but he cannot give you eternal life. And in fact, he's going to take your eternal life. Matthew 24:37 says, but as in the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. What were the days of Noah like? They were violent. It says only evil thoughts continually were going through their mind, and they were violent. And I look at the world today, and the majority of video games are violent video games. Violent and satanic. Games like Diablo, games like Call of Duty. I mean, even Call of Duty is supposed to be this military game, which is violence, but now they're incorporating Satanism, where you can sacrifice somebody on a pentagram. I've seen it. People send me stuff all the time and say, have you seen this? Have you seen this? This world is getting more violent and satanic every day, as in the days of Noah. What else does it say? In Luke 17:28, it says, likewise also as it was in the days of Lot. They did eat and they drank and they bought and they sold and they planted and builded. This is talking about they're going on with life as usual. Look, this is just normal everyday life. But as in the days of Lot, this was the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And what was that? Sexual sin, rampant, as well as violence. It was wickedness all around, just like Noah. But specifically, people think of sexual sin when it comes to this. Now, what do we see? I mean, every magazine at the grocery store has a woman barely dressed. You can drive down the street and see a billboard with a billboard for plastic surgery. And it's like, I can't believe they can show that on a billboard. And this is where this is going. This is where our world is heading right now. Matthew 24:12 says, and because iniquity shall abound and the love of many wax cold. Iniquity is the word lawlessness. We're coming to a time where lawlessness will abound. Only wicked thoughts continually. And even today, things that we don't even consider wicked were wicked 100 years ago, when people still had a morality to them, when they weren't desensitized. We see things on TV and we're just like, oh yeah, that's normal. That's normal. It's not normal. Lawlessness shall abound and the love of many shall wax cold. That makes me think of all these people that don't have any kind of physical, social partners anymore. The love of many will wax cold. 2 Corinthians 2:11 says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. I'm showing you this because this is one of Satan's devices that's coming. And I don't want anyone to fall prey for his devices, his traps, because I already have been there. And I grew up in a time when it wasn't near this bad. It was already bad. I mean, I idolized Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails, and it was bad. Like I told you, I was looking up websites showing faces of death and all that stuff, but the world has gotten 10 times worse since then. I didn't live in a time where I could type anything I wanted, and even if it doesn't exist, now it exists. That's the thing. We live in a world right now, well, 5 years ago, where you could only see or play or listen to things that existed, things that somebody created. A musician had to create it. A game designer had to create it. A movie producer had to create it. But now, you are the creator. You are God. You're the God of this world. That's what Satan is offering. You get to be God. You speak it into existence. Something that's never existed before. And that can be music. I can go right now on Suno and I can make a song about anything I want. It can be good or bad. I can go to ChatGPT and I can write a script about a movie that I'd never be able to. I'm not a screenwriter, but with ChatGPT, I can write a script. And then I can use ChatGPT to make an image that's never existed. I can make a movie. I can make scenes of things that never existed. And soon we're going to be wearing VR headsets and creating 3D worlds of whatever you want. Your imagination. Remember, the imagination of their hearts were only evil continually. Do we live in a time where it's like Sodom and Gomorrah, the days of Lot? Do we live in a time where it's the days of Noah? Do we live in a time where people's hearts are only evil continually? And now Satan's saying, here you go. You can create whatever you want. Put it on and go to Never Never Land. I hope this was eye-opening to you. I hope this shows you the signs of the times that we're living in, because things are about to get crazy. We're not going to be able to tell fiction from reality soon. I mean, it's already, the line is being blurred, and now everyone's going to be living in their fantasy world and doing the most sickest things that their heart's desires can do, following the lust of their flesh, and won't be held accountable by anyone except God. It's just going to be between them and God, and they will be held accountable for what they've done. Jesus is coming soon. We are living in the last days where there's scoffers saying, where is the sign of his coming? The signs are all around. Look around. The signs are everywhere. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. We are not monetized. YouTube has rejected us twice when we've applied for monetization because we are harmful content. YouTube does not want this message getting out there. So please give it a thumbs up. We can only do this because of supporters like you. If you would like to support this ministry from anywhere from $1 to $1,000, every little bit helps. Go to CandidTruthOrg. You can donate through many different methods. If you like t-shirts, we got lots of cool t-shirts, and we get about $5 per sale on that shop. We can't do this without you guys. We can't do this without you guys. Thank you all who are supporting so that we can continue to do this. And also, I forget to mention this all the time, but we go and speak at churches. So if you would like Candid Truth to come to your church and give a presentation on aliens or media or health or any of those topics, just give us a call. You can go to CandidTruthOrg and you can actually schedule us to come to your church. We love you. We thank you guys, and we'll see you next time on Candid Truth.